Good morning, all. Today we are going to discuss another poem, Absences by Dom Morris. The poem Absences by Dom Morris. Before moving on to the poem, as usual, we have to begin with the details regarding the poets. Dom Morris. Dom Morris is an Indian English journalist, writer, poet, and travel writer, was born in 1938 and is considered as a foundational figure in Indian English literature. He was an Indian writer, poet who write in English language and is considered as a foundational figure in Indian English literature. And his poems are possibly his most prolific work, and his gift lay in his ability to capture unexpressed thoughts in verse. That is his specialty. He has a special talent to capture unexpressed thoughts in his verse. And about his notable works including the collections of poems titled as A Beginning, which was published in 1957. Then Poems is another title which was published in 1960, and John Nobody, which was published in 1965, and My Son's Father 1968, and Serendip 1990. These are his famous collections of poems. A Beginning 1958-57, Poems 1960, John Nobody 1965, and My Son's Father 1968, and Serendip 1990. These are his famous collections of poems. Remember, he is considered as a foundational figure in Indian English literature. Here, in this poem, Absences, the poem titled as Absences, and in this absence, actually, Dom Morris is speaking about the absence of life. So absence is a metaphor for life, and he believed that this world is created by its variety of absences. The world is made with variety of absences, and the poet himself has lived in a state of homelessness, always ignorant of what the next step would be. And so he says, or came to a conclusion, that this world is created together with a full of or variety of absences. That is his point. Then, moving on to the poem, Absences. The poem titled as Absences. First stanza. Smear out the last star, no lights from the island or hills. In the great square of the prolonged vowel of silence makes itself plainly heard. Round the gauze of headland, clouds, leaves, shreds of birds eddy hindering the wind. First two lines. Smear out the last star, no lights from the island. It's a strong opening line. It is exactly, critics says that this line is exactly similar to the beginning of epic. Epic from Ulysses is an example of epic. And in Ulysses, he is actually speaking about war, and here he is speaking about absences. Maybe he is speaking about the absence which created after the world wars. And smear out the last star. Smear out means wipe out, to clean. Smear out the last star. The last star from the sky also has disappeared. It is also wiped out, and leaving a totally empty universe. Remember the title Absences? And he is speaking about different types of absences. And he says that this world is created with absences, variety of absences, not presence. Okay, so smear out the last star. The last star from the sky also has disappeared. So, which leaving a totally empty universe. No lights from the island or hills. Next line. No lights from the islands or hills. There is no light in the island and the hills. Maybe this island or hills, which is once occupied by human beings, but now it is empty. No lights on the island or and the hills. That means there is no person is living. No one is staying there. Thus, first line, smear out the last star. Wipe out the last star from this universe. So this universe become empty and dark. Look, in the great square, the prolonged vowel of silence makes itself plainly heard. In the great square of this universe, silence makes itself heard. No other sound should be heard. If you listen very carefully, you can hear the sound of silence. You feel funny. The sound of silence. In the great square, the prolonged vowel of silence makes itself plainly heard. The poet mentioned vowel of silence. There is no one is there in that island or in that world after the World War. No person left there. So he says that there is no one or not a consonant sound is there. There is not a consonant sound is there to make this vowel pronounced. So it is the prolonged vowel of silence makes itself plainly heard. What is heard there? There only heard the silence. In the great square of this universe, silence makes itself heard like a long vowel without a consonant sound, without a consonant to make it a sound. Is it? Round the ghost of a headland, clouds, leaves, shreds of bird, eddy, hindering the wind. Look. The place which was once a headland or promontory, round the ghost of headland, round the ghost of headland or a promontory. The place which was once a headland, the water forms an eddy movement. Eddy means circular or whirl. Water whirls. In river we can see the whirling of water in certain places. And the poet is saying that the place which was once a headland, the water forms an eddy in which clouds, leaves, and shreds of birds means feathers, birds' feathers, everything whirled there. That makes a movement. The bird's feather is there, cloud is there, leaves there, that indicate symbols of life. But now the world is completely empty. Okay. Round the ghost of headland, clouds, leaves, shreds of bird, eddy hindering the wind. Eddy means a circular movement. This is the first stanza. Second, no vigil left to keep, no enemies left to slaughter. The rough roof of the slopes loosely thatched with splayed water, Only shelter microliths and fossils. And watch the rainbows build on the architraves of hills. No wounds left to be healed. No vigil left to keep. Vigil means watch. No enemies left to slaughter. That means all are dead. Everyone in the place are now become dead bodies. And no one needs watch a fellow man. No vigil left to keep. No enemies left to slaughter. Enemies are killed. And no one remains to be feared. After the world wars, the complete destruction is the result. The world is moving to a complete destruction. Okay. Our enemies are all killed. And the rough roof of the slabs loosely thatched with splayed water only shelter microlith and fossils. Everyone becomes dead bodies. What is left? Only fossils left. Skull and the fossils, that is the remaining part of the human body, is the remaining left there. That indicate the rough roof of the slabs loosely thatched with splayed water only shelter microliths and fossils. Under the roof which is thatched by the water, and under that roof, what's there? Lie only the microliths made by primitive men. Microlith means stone weapons. And their fossils. The remains are the stones and the fossils. And this is kept under the roof. And which roof? The roof which is touched by the water. That is that line. The rough roof of the slopes loosely thatched with splayed water. Only shelter microliths and fossils. Under the roof, there remains only the stone weapons and the fossils. And the stone weapon which is created by the ancient primitive man. And their fossil is there. And watch the rainbow build on the architraves of hills. Look. The unwatched, the rainbows build on the architraves of hill. The rainbow that form on the ground floor of the desert, of this deserted universe, are unwatched or unnoticed. No one is there. No one left there to watch the beauty of the world like this rainbow. The rainbow which is created by the nature, but here it is unwatched because no one left there to watch it. That's the present state of this world. After the 2 world wars, nothing there. Only pessimistic thoughts exist there. No human being is there. The poet Domoris is actually portraying such a world, and which is not full of presence but full of absences. There is nothing. No wounds left to be healed. There is no wound that need healing, because every wounded people becomes dead bodies. So no wounds left to be healed.